What's going on. This session is actually going to be a little bit different than my usual. And don't like the idea that I'm talking down to you, so hold on just one sec. I'm gonna keep talking. I wanted to share with you guys a little bit, there we go. This topic, I'm not a fan of talking about fertility, infertility, pregnancy, not when you get pregnant, the stress, the strain, the sanity of it all. And look down. We have to look this way. Mostly because this is an emotional roller coaster. This topic, to this day, these guys are 4, it is a very hard topic for me to talk about. So we're going to see how we go through this, but bear with me. Just know if you're going through this, if you need somebody to talk to because you're going through fertility struggles, trying to conceive struggles, or if you've reached a point where you're at the end of your rope and you just need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out. I mean, having gone through a lot of this myself, it was hard to find people. And I've talked to a lot of people since then who have found me through various means, social media and otherwise, and didn't realize that I'd been down this journey. And once I did, it was just nice to have somebody to talk to. So if that's you, before you even get started, please know my information is there. If you want to talk, DM me either within the AHS community or Facebook through this event, any way, shape, or form. And we'll chat. We'll just have a little conversation, even if all we need to do is that. Okay? Summer toddler stuff. Preschools. Okay, so let's get into this. Let me start just by kind of telling you a little bit about my story. And to start with, I have 4-year-old twins through IVF, and I remember the last round very distinctly. I was 46 at the time, and my husband and I talked about, like, well, we have these extra things, like, what do we do, right? Do we keep going? Do we cut it short? Do we just move on with our lives? What are we gonna do? So for us, this last final round of IVF was all for closure. We had already accepted, well, I'm not gonna speak for him because I don't know what's true anymore. That's his journey. I was already closing that chapter. We're just going through the motions. And the shots and the ups and downs of the emotions that the hormones are giving you, along with the stress and strain of, was this pinch an implant? Was that what happened? Because I felt a pinch, and Google said a pinch is a good thing. But if I eat this food, it's gonna trigger this, so back and forth, those start, and they stop just that quickly. And I didn't have that in my last round because I had already decided that I'm going through the motions so that both of us can have closure and we can move on with the rest of our lives, not feeling like we stop things too short. At my age, I was 46, I was 48. It was the end of the road. There was no more. We weren't trying again. And I didn't think I was going to get pregnant at all. And we insisted with the doctor, who was not very happy about it, mind you, but he did it. We insisted that they transfer both embryos. And, 2 twins. Or 2 boys. I always like to say that the universe basically screws with me a lot. And I'm not religious, so please don't misunderstand me. One of the phrases that I always hated to hear was, it's not God's plan, or it's not the universe's plan, or whatever. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that wasn't God's plan, that wasn't a universe plan. That was science. My issue, we started out, it was testosterone, that's what we thought it was my husband. He got healthy as all get out, lost weight, testosterone's up, he's great, no problem, right? Turns out, it was not him. It was, I have a beautiful, wonderful heart-shaped uterus, which makes actually getting pregnant and carrying through to live birth challenging. So without science, what I've been told and what I actually do believe is without science, I would not have these two precious miracles. I like to say I had a double or triple miracle because we thought we were done. I thought it was just going through the motion. Usually shots at this point is just part of life, right? These times your alarm on your phone goes off, and these times you have to give yourself those shots. And then you get a phone call, and I picked up the phone. It was the only time the fertility office called that I picked up the phone without taking a couple of deep breaths before doing so. And I dropped the phone. I flat out dropped my phone. She had put me on speaker at that point and had another nurse come over because she thought I passed out. That did not happen. Oh. So, that to say, that last round was quite possibly the easiest of my sanity. And I think partly because I had already decided it wasn't going to happen. So when it came back as a yes, and then, everything lined up, the ultrasound was healthy. Everything was perfect until delivery. And that's a completely different story. If you want to hear that, I'm happy to share that privately. Or in another words, I can do it another way. But for today, I really wanted to share with you the things that helped me just get through the rougher ones, to get through everything up until that last round. We did IUI. I went through herbal and holistic sources before IUI, thinking, I can do this. My grandma got pregnant, older. You just have to put your mind to it, right? No big deal. When you do this. So I went through holistic measures first: acupuncture, herbal medicine, nutrition, the things I knew. And when that didn't work, we went to a fertility specialist, did IUI, and then we did IVF, and you know how that turned out. Hold on for just 1 second, because apparently I forgot to put my phone, and it plays through your computer when you have a Mac. Okay, let's go through this list. So I have to say that I have a list of superfoods. And I also have some herbs. And as we were going through this fertility journey, I went back to school in 2015. I got my degree in 2019. And my degree is in alternative medicine, focusing on herbal medicine as well as holistic nutrition. So as I was going through this process, I was learning these things. One of the shockers is hibiscus tea. Now, there are certain herbs, hibiscus tea, jasmine, wintergreen, the strong, potent menthols, things of that nature, lavender tea. Those are teas that can hinder pregnancy. They can hinder various stages of fertility. Now, sorry. Crying. Even things like a strong pot of Italian food where your garlic is high and your oregano is high and your onions are high. Those are the three most potent herbal treatments for colds, illnesses, flus, things that your body needs a strong immunity for. When you're trying to conceive, those can actually hinder your ability. Hinder it just because your body is focusing in a different area of your body. The challenge with getting pregnant And the reason it is such a miracle that it happens to any of us, regardless of how easy or challenging it is, it's a straight up miracle. If you look at the numbers, you have one egg and how many sperm, but you gotta catch the sucker and it's doing this, and it's just a miracle. It's just a straight up miracle. So your body, when it's going through other things, like if it's stressed out, one of the very first, and actually I believe it is still considered the first system shut down, is your reproductive system. So stress is a huge factor. Now, you're stressed because they're doing your hormones. You're stressed because it costs a shit ton of money, right? You're stressed because you want this. In your deepest core of your soul, you want this. And it's not happening as easily as your friend or your family member or, it's just, these are things that go through your mind. And that adds to the stress. So it's very crucial to look at mindset activities. That helped me. It's where I started with my sanity journal, actually. I started with the sanity journal because I just needed to get things outside my head and not continue to stress over them. Taking deep breaths. I don't know how many times I would sit somewhere and take a deep breath. It became just a thing. I was really blessed, really lucky about halfway through to start working with the acupuncturist, start working with an energy healer, and they really helped me stay sane, to keep a hold of my stress management, my stress levels. At school, we were in Dallas by ourselves, we had just moved up, so we were basically creating a home life for ourselves. And along the way, learning these different things, about food and about herbs, they were great, but really the kicker was that mindset piece. It's finding something you can do day in and day out, even when you don't feel like doing it. I hate writing, you guys. I can't stand it. Yeah, it's a chore for me. But it is the lesser of the two evils. Staying stuck in my head sends me down rabbit holes. And not the good kind of rabbit holes either, by the way. We're not talking Alice in Wonderland, go get some fancy little cookie and, send you into the Mad Hatter's tea party. It does not send me down good rabbit holes. And a lot of us on this journey, the rabbit holes that send us down is Dr. Google. We start Googling our symptoms. We start Googling that pinch, or Googling the headache, or Googling the nausea. All symptoms of pregnancy and fertility hormones. The shots they give you, same symptoms as pregnancy. So there is literally zero way for you to identify whether that is because of pregnancy or if it's because of the shots and the medication. Zero way. But it's huge with your mind. And for me, being able to write all of these things down, at least got it out of my head enough that I could function on a normal day-to-day basis and not get hyper-focused. Because if you're on this journey, you understand it is very easy to get hyper-focused. Very, very, very easy. Hi, chickadee. Now, I want to go back to the herbs for a second. Because in hibiscus specifically, this is something a lot of people aren't aware of. So hibiscus used to be used by traditional medicine and women as birth control. My absolute favorite tea in the whole world, hold for one moment, please. I drink it all the time. Starbucks, passion fruit tea. That's what this is. Now, ingredients. You know ingredients list. The very first ingredient is the largest volume within that food, right? Hibiscus flowers. You go down the list a little bit, it has hibiscus and elderberry extract. So it's a double win. So I stopped drinking this. I did not drink this again until after I stopped breastfeeding. And I was very grateful to have it back, but it was a paranoid moment where I didn't realize that or any herbs in general could have such a strong effect on our body. And the reality is they can. There are herbs that are very potent. There are herbs that are very powerful. And you don't realize it because they have such a light flavor. Hibiscus flower tea is very light. That's what I like about it. It's not very strong at all. Even if you screw up, like I do all the time, and you leave it brewing for several hours, which I make tea, I put it to the side with the anticipation of pouring it over ice, and then I forget that it's there, and I just take my water and go. So when you come back several hours later, hibiscus tea it's fruity, it's light, and I know that even if it's been sitting there steeping for several hours and is now more of an infusion than a tea, it's not going to be overpowering, it's not going to be bitter, so it's one of my favorites. It's a stress reliever for me. It's not something I had at my disposal when I was going through fertility because it prevents transplant. It prevents implantation, right? So if you're drinking anything that says passion, that's fruity, that is a floral tea of any kind, make sure you look at the ingredients. The hibiscus flower, if you're going through this or you're trying to conceive in any way, shape, or form, you look at it. Okay? Now, let's talk about cravings and weight gain, because how many of y'all had that first shot and within the first month you're like, and you don't know what happened? It's hormones. Every one of us went through it. Sometimes we get through one round, and then when we come back for the second one is the one that really impacts us. Anytime you screw with your hormones, people, you are going to have to really be strict about your diet and your activity and your exercise. Now, I was told at some point not to exercise at all. Now, I followed it as a trainer. I still followed it. I let my people work out, but aside from just demonstrating exercises, that's all I did. And after those 2 rounds of IUI, I realized that makes me nuts. It makes me absolutely focus on negativity and not be able to drive myself out. I can't get myself out of that. I get very grumpy, I get crabby, I turn into a person I don't like. So when I went forward into more rounds, I refused to listen to that because I decided that did not feel right in my gut. I didn't do anything extreme. I stopped running marathons and half marathons. I stopped doing that. And I stopped doing that before we did any of the IUI. So it's just normal activity, no high intense interval training, just basic aerobics, kept it light, walking, yoga, Pilates, things of that nature. It helped my brain. It helped my sanity. And what I decided when we shifted from IUI to IVF was my sanity is more important than a lot of the advice. And my husband and I had worked together to kind of come up with a couple of goals. Whatever happened during our journey, we were going to decide things together. And the goal was we keep us as a couple. If it ever got to the point where we were so stressed out, we were fighting against each other, then we were calling it quits, regardless of what the outcome was. Now, once I got to that point where I realized I had to continue exercising, I started to really look at the cravings that I was having, because at first I was like, yeah, we're just going through this 1 or 2 rounds, so I'm just not gonna worry about it too much. And that was not the attitude to have, first of all, because it really didn't help me much, but my diet has never been horrible. Ever since I lost weight in 2003, it's stayed relatively healthy. There were about 6 months while I was pregnant for 7.5 months. And while I was pregnant, the only thing I could keep down was chicken nuggets, lemonade, and potato chips. It was the weirdest, and unsweet iced tea. I even had to stop drinking coffee. It was the weirdest situation, you guys. Really very bizarre. And these are things that also happened during several rounds of fertility. And one of the things that really helped me was keeping my diet on point, making sure that no matter what, sorry, we have very spoiled dogs, and sure now water. So keeping everything on point with my nutrition was absolutely crucial. Let's get into that. Let's talk about nutrition. What is the best diet when you're trying to conceive? High in amino acids, so high fat, high protein, high fiber. This is crucial. Without the fiber, the medications that they can do, the hormones they can give, triggers constipation. It goes nowhere else, it triggers constipation. Okay? It is one of the worst side effects. Not only that, there are certain nutrients that you can get from your food that you want to make sure you have in your food, because it tells your body that everything is healthy. It also helps you manage and so balance in your stress management. Hey, Keegan. That way. So, if your food can help you with your stress management, and you have your mindset practices that are lesser of two evils, because at some point, that's exactly what it's going to feel. Is here's this lesser of two evils, but it helps me feel better. I'm just going to do it. Your nutrition is another component of that. These are all self-care modalities that a lot of us tend to forget. I've got a crazy day. A lot of us tend to forget that these are necessary just in regular day-to-day life. So when you're going through something like fertility, whether you are in actual treatment with a practitioner, or you're going your holistic route, or you're trying it on your own, you still want to make sure that your basic self-care practices are on point, okay? So let's talk about these cravings and how they're going to impact your nutrition. I will tell you the one that stands out for me is the chocolate and the sweet cravings. I had not had sweet cravings for a very long time. And the sweet craving was the first one that came up, and then dark chocolate. I'm not a big chocolate fan. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I am not a big chocolate fan. I could live the rest of my life and never have chocolate and I would be okay. I would be just fine. I'm not a I have to have chocolate person. That being said, the first pill they put me on, guess what I became? And after recovering from postpartum, I have postpartum anxiety. I did not have postpartum depression. Never had anxiety before. And I do not recommend it. But once I had recovered from the anxiety, the cravings for dark chocolate are gone. It's just not something that I naturally gravitate towards. I can tell when my magnesium is very low, and that's kind of when a lot of that dark chocolate, red wine desire comes up. It's not necessarily as strong as a craving. Thank you, baby boy. So here's the deal with dark chocolate. If you're craving sweet, an ounce of very dark chocolate, 60-70% plus cacao. If you suck on each little tiny bite, it resolves your sugar craving and your chocolate craving. It resolves your sugar craving and your chocolate craving without you eating added sugar, refined sugar, artificial ingredients, or any of the sort. I highly recommend looking for a dark cacao bar or chocolate bites that are dairy-free. And here's why. A lot of the bars with dairy in them have sugar. It's like they can't have a chocolate bar with dairy without the sugar. Chemically, I'm not sure that's even possible. But for our discussion, for what you're going through, for what I went through, it helped me more to have that dark cacao and to just take little bites, you know, the really thick chunks, just take little bites and suck on it. It's so good. They're so good. I still do that to this day every once in a while just because it actually tasted really good. And it's not necessarily that I have that craving the way that I did. But if life is stressful, I have some chocolate. I put a little bit in and suck, and you just like each bite, and it takes you a while to get through that one block. And that's the point. You're trying to get your ghrelin and your leptin to stop fighting. That's why you take your time. Okay? Is you take and make sure you're taking your sweet time, taking this time, getting into your system, past your olfactory system here, into digestive. The longer it takes, the easier it is to stave off a sugar craving. All right? Every time I had a shot, every time I had a pill, it was like clockwork. 15, 20 minutes later, sugar. So let's talk about some superfoods that help me. And I have a list here, and I'm not sure we're going to get through them all. This might be like we get through them and we end early. Not sure. No. I need you to go play, please.
No, I don't want to play.
Hey, bud, I told you I was working. I need you to go play.
But I want
Go play.
to
All right. So let's talk nutrition. Let's talk foods. Bone broth was something that I actually would have on hand. I actually make it myself, so I'll get rotisserie chicken. So the organic, make sure you know all the ingredients, rotisseries that are made at the store. I buy those, I bring them home, we eat the chicken. Brian usually picks the bird for me, and he takes the bird and puts it into a crock pot for me because he knows that I'm going to put water in it, I'm going to put fruits and vegetables, or not fruits, but I'm going to put vegetables and herbs in it and create a bone broth. Here's how you make a bone broth. Pop it in your crock pot, put it on low, and let it sit for at least 24 hours. Okay? You get the collagen from the bone, from in between the bones, whether you're doing it with beef bones or you're doing it with chicken. I can't really do a lot of beef, so I did more chicken at the time and turkey. I didn't really do beef. Brian did, and we would buy bones, like, the bones they chop up for the dog, we would buy those, and we would make a beef broth for Brian. For me, I got the chicken broth. I still make it to this day. It is a phenomenal helper when you're fighting colds and illnesses, regardless of your age, which is why I still make it. The homemade version allows you to control how much of that bird goes into your bone broth. So let's say you're having issues with protein. So when I was pregnant, I was having a lot of issues eating food, right? I told you I was good with chicken nuggets, potato chips, lemonade, and unsweet iced tea, right? But I also would go and buy those birds, and Brian would take off the wing and the thigh, because that's his favorite part. The rest of it got put into crock pot And his bones would get put in there as well, and I would make a bone broth. Because I included the meat, it actually added a little bit of the amino acids that you find within chicken. So it was a protein boost. So if you're finding that you're feeling sick, nauseous, your digestive system starts, I want to say wavering, then doing something like a DIY bone broth where you have just chicken, freshly cooked, not cooked. If it's not cooked, I highly recommend putting it on high, letting it cook, and then turning it to low. That way you're not setting yourself up for any E. coli or bacterial infection in any way, shape, or form.
I don't.
I don't want to go flip. I know you don't. So now let's talk about the fat content.
I don't want to play
High fat,
either.
high fiber, high protein.
I
Right?
don't want to play.
Avocados. Harvard School of Public Health
I don't
had a study where they actually found avocados increased the chances of pregnancy 3 times. It tripled it. There are several other studies that followed after that that really found that what it was is it's not necessarily just the avocados. Now, avocados and coconut were both found to double and triple chances, okay? And I'm not here to give you false hope. I'm not, because that is the worst thing on the planet. But I am here to tell you that based on all of these studies, the idea of a high-fat diet that is also high protein and high fiber are the studies that followed up after this Harvard study. So effectively what science has found is that a high-fat, high-fiber diet with high-fat, high-fiber, high protein with high levels of protein, solid sources, not just vegetable sources, animal protein sources as well, which from my experience, I'm gonna tell you right now, that really depends on you. That depends on what your body has said is the best diet for you. Just know if you're going through fertility, if you're trying to conceive, high fat, high fiber, high protein. Those are your 3 markers for nutrition, okay? High fiber means you're eating grains, it means you're eating starches, and it means you're eating, no sir. It means you're eating fruits and vegetables, okay? That being said, berries and greens, any dark green food, from cruciferous to your spinach, to your kale, to your Swiss chard, these are all vibrant foods that help give your body vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E, vitamin A, right? These help your body metabolize fats, proteins, boost your mood, boost circulation, helps your brain. Get where I'm going here? So, berries, greens, protein sources, make sure organic, grass-fed, raised, cage-free nowadays doesn't mean out on the farm happy little chickens. It doesn't mean happy little cows or happy big cows, because cows aren't little. Cage-free just means they're not in a cage. So when you're looking at meats, you're looking at animal products, make sure that they say range or farm raised, okay? All right, eggs, whole eggs. You got your omegas, you got your A's, your D's, your K, your E, you got it all. You want a tiny little package. And let me tell you, when the hunger hits and your craving for sugar hits, and you have 1 egg, just one nice hard-boiled egg, it helps significantly. Now, one of the things I used to do is I would take it and I would sprinkle everything bagel into like a little bowl or something, and then I would dip the egg in it and eat it. Perfect. It's not sweet at all, right? But that shift, that dramatic shift in the flavorings squelches the sugar. It squelches that. Bone broth, avocados, eggs, dark chocolate, Brazil nuts. I was told at some point that Brazil nuts were phenomenal for fertility, for pregnancy.
Mommy.
There's a trick with Brazil nuts though, people, because yes, they're phenomenal sources of omegas from and healthy fats from nuts and seeds, right? Because Brazil nuts. But Brazil nuts can be toxic. You do not want to have more than 2 or 3 a day, especially when you're going through fertility and you're shooting your body up with hormones. We feel it with 1 or 2, and it's not something that is made up. Don't go and have a big jar of them. If you're scared of them at this point, don't worry about it. Eat some almonds, eat some walnuts, eat some cashews. Jamie, I told you it was crazy over here. Freaking chaos over here, you people. Chaos. All right, and very last thing that I saved because I think a lot of people are tired of me saying this, is lemon water. Lemon water helps your digestion. First thing in the morning, it wakes up your system. It sends a vitamin C to your immune system and says, hey, we have this food available. Isn't this fabulous? We have all this healthy stuff because we have water with a little bit of lemon. It is amazing. Lemon water, especially stronger lemon water, also does a couple of things. It dissipates fat. It helps alleviate nausea, especially when you heat it up a little bit. It also will cleanse your palate. Now, I've had people say, well, I don't really like lemons, I'd rather use limes. It's similar, but the strongest of the citrus to have those reactions is lemon. Not lime, not grapefruit, not oranges. Okay? So, if you're struggling with some digestive upset while you're on this journey, lemon water. It's your go-to. And if you have to, while I prefer you having lemons, get just a jar of organic lemon juice. It's totally worth it. You'll notice a difference almost right away. And it's really helpful. It triggers your brain that it needs water, it triggers your brain and tells it that there's a plentiful variety of healthy foods available, fruits and vegetables. And that knowledge within this brain helps it trigger cravings for this brain. Okay? Very last thing I wanted to mention is a pineapple core. So bromelian is something that you have on transfer day. And this is old little herbal trick. I did it every time. I even did it on the last one because I was like, if I get pregnant, I'm gonna regret not doing this, right? But it was a very big if for me. And what it is you take just the core, blend it into a smoothie. It is not a pineapple per se. Like, you bite into pineapple and it's nice and juicy and it's just sweet and you just want more, right? The core is the hard part of the pineapple. It is not very easy to chew up. So what I used to do is I would just throw the whole thing into a smoothie. And I would have basically a virgin pina colada. Coconut water, a little bit of coconut milk or coconut yogurt if I was using it as a snack or a meal. I'd throw in coconut yogurt. And then all the pineapple, including the core. Now, once you have kids, that actually does help you as well if you're breastfeeding or you're trying to recover from postpartum, trying to manage postpartum depression or anxiety. It's really helpful. And I think that's it, you guys. Oh, one more thing. Red wine drinkers. I'm not a red wine drinker, but a friend told me about this and I'm sharing it. Red wine drinkers, pomegranate. Obviously, berries helps your heart, helps your circulation, right? Vitamins, minerals, all that good juicy stuff for your immune system, for your brain, for your gut, right? If you warm it up just slightly, so it's room temp, and you put it in a wine glass, it feels like you're drinking a glass of red wine. And if you warm it up to just the right temperature, it can actually mimic some of the darker red wines that are out there. So there's your trick for a mocktail if you're a red wine drinker. I'm a white wine drinker. I tried it. It's delicious, but I still prefer my pomegranate cold. For my red wine drinkers, though, that has been a lifesaver. They feel like they're just living normal life. And that is crucial because you're out here, for us, we really didn't tell anybody we were going through this except a few close people. A lot of our families didn't even know. My sister knew and his sister knew, and that was about it. And when you're going through this, even if you tell people, you're still trying to just live a normal life. So if you can do these things, keep your nutrition on point, keep your mindset on point, take care of you first, and then do the other things that you have to do as you're going through this, you can stay sane. Because this roller coaster journey will send you for lots of loopy-loops when you least expect it. So those are my little tips and tricks for you. I hope you found this helpful. And as I said before, if you want to chat about any of this, if you're struggling with trying to just keep sane or struggling nutritionally while you're going through this process, reach out, let's have a talk, and let's fix it. The roller coaster and the loopy-loops are rough enough. You don't need to do this by yourself. You have a whole team here. And one of the things I would highly recommend, because my acupuncturist and my energy healer, they were phenomenal for me. So reach out to Jody, reach out to Kate. They work phenomenally well together. They are an amazing team. And I know they have workshops out there outside of AHS. And I know that they have sessions where you go and chat with them just like me. We all have our initial consultations. Chat with us, see what's possible. And, even if, for me, even if all you want to do is just chat because you need an ear, you need a shoulder, let me know. I'm happy to do that as well. So I'm going to let you guys get on with your day. We're going to get the energy, the little bits of energy here out so that they can run this stuff off. The only thing I'm going to add and leave you with at the very end is dark chocolate is not bad. If you're struggling in any way, shape, or form, mindset-wise, go get some chocolate. Get pomegranate juice, heat it up a little bit, have a little bit of monk red wine and chocolate. You'll thank me for it later. All right, you guys, I will chat with you later. I am going to take a second and find my camera screen because I neglected to pull it up this time. This was emotionally a very tough topic for me, so my brain is definitely struggling today. But let me find that screen. We'll put it up so that you can scan the code and what can put in there for it, even if it's just to chit chat. Okay. I'm working on a lot of stuff lately. You guys missed my 3-day challenge. Change. Hold on a sec, you guys. You know when you know something's right there and you can't find it?
What are you
I am trying to fix something, but I do.
What are you fixing?
I am. Here we go. I think this is good. All right.
Are you done fixing?
No, I'm not.
Well, what is it? I can't.
Alright. We are going to, let's see. Oh, share screen. Alright. And I'm gonna put this as. Present. There you go. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm gonna hop off here. And I will fix that in just a second, but thank you guys for joining me and dealing with this